welcome back to another Off the Shelf.
Hallelujah, she's finally getting a divorce.
So, literally, the scene that we opened with in Volume 1 came to fruition in Volume 6.
Took them long enough.
So, we are covering Volumes 5 and 6. I'm going to be honest, I was so confused when I opened up these two books, because I'm currently keeping pace on Webtoon, right?
Wait, we're covering 2 volumes. Okay.
Yeah, we're covering 2 volumes.
It's been months since I read these. I didn't remember that I read 2 volumes.
You read 2 volumes. But yeah, so oh good, this is actually counting the episode numbers, which is good for me because, you know, that's easier for me to keep up with. Thank God. For some of these adaptations do not count the Webtoon chapter numbers, and it really fucks me up. But like, for context, I looked in these to get like a kind of like where am I sort of thing, right? Because I'm currently at episode 194. This goes up to episode 85. So I was very confused. I was like, what? She's still married to Sauvé shit? In Volume 5? Yeah, she's still married to Sauvé shit in Volume 5. Okay, so yeah. Volume 5 is sort of... I mean, so what do you want to talk about?
Give me a minute. I need to travel back in time for a minute. So, like, Savashu brought all this on himself.
Yeah, so actually, this is actually a good time to bring this up. So I follow some content creators who do stuff about manhwa, right? Mm-hmm. And this YouTuber, I had never watched them before, but they recently posted a video. I mean, maybe not recent, but they posted a video about the Remarried Empress, right? And the video was, I mean, I think I agree and disagree with the creators' end sort of like summation, but their argument was that they did not understand why everyone was vilifying Rashta alone and not Sauvé when the entire problem is essentially caused by Sauvé, like overall, right? Like, mm-hmm. He is the cause of everything that's gone wrong, right? And it's his own like impatience and stupidity. And like, yeah, Rashta is doing like really bad stuff, but she doesn't really know any better, and she is like sort of reacting instead of acting.
Yeah.
So like, and I mean, I don't think that absolves her. I still consider her to be Trashta and for him to be Sauvé shit, but like, it is a sort of a more nuanced view that makes sense. Like, Rashta really, she is not the end all be all of evil in the story up to this point, you know?
No, to this point in the story, at least, the way that my read of it is, there's a lot more stupidity than malice here,
especially on her part, because like she wants to escape being a slave. She wants her child to be protected, and to do that, and obviously she has what's his face whispering in her ear, and the only way that she can figure for her to be safe and protected is either to become best friends with the queen, which was not going to happen, right? And Navier was not deliberately malicious towards her, right? Like, Sauvé shit was really the one who facilitated a lot of the negativity between them, right? Because she basically just told Rashta, like, just stay away from me. Like, I don't care for you, and I'm not going to care for you, but I'm not going to actively hurt you, right?
But it's also not Rashta's fault that she walked into this, like, very complicated situation that existed before her between Sauvé and...
Yeah, but I certainly do not really place any blame on Navier for drawing, like, sort of a boundary for herself and saying, I don't want to interact with you, because she's never malicious towards Rashta. In fact, she actually tries to set her up for success in some ways. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't blame Navier, but, like, Sauvé is really...
Sauvé playing stupid games and winning stupid prizes, as far as I could tell.
He's fucking around and finding out. That's what he's doing. And I think it's so funny, because in theory he should be smarter than, like, Rashta, but it really doesn't seem like he is. Like, genuinely.
His decision-making is not on point, so to speak.
No. And I get that he's trying to improve Rashta's place in court because he wants her child to be his heir because he doesn't have an heir. But the fact that the only way that he can, like, seem to do this is pit the two of them against one another is very juvenile. Like, there are other ways to sort of raise her position. You know what I mean? Like, there are other ways he could have done this, and he chose not to.
It's clear he's lost the ability to properly be able to talk to Navir.
Yeah, entirely. Like, and I mean, part of that is, like, his guilt.
And, like...
But, like, oh, man, don't keep secrets.
He was trying to, like, come up with this brilliant plan of divorce Navir to get an heir.
Divorce her for 1 year, make the mother of his baby queen for 1 year to give it legitimacy when it's born, and then get rid of her and have Navir raise the kid so that he has a kid that is his legitimate heir, but gets to keep Navir as his wife eventually.
But, like...
Man's playing 4D chess on a regular chess
board. The part he forgot, even if there wasn't another suitor involved here, the part he forgot about is that Navir still has to want to come back after all that.
Yeah, like, I'm going to be so friggin' honest. If he had just been honest with her from the beginning, right? Like, been honest about, like, the cookies and, like, the damage to the reproductive system or whatever, and then honest about Rashta and the child, etc., etc., I feel like he really could have saved himself a lot of headache, because Navir seems like a very pragmatic woman, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like she might not have been super happy with him, but, like, they could have found a way around this. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they really could have. And it might not have even had to involve Rashta to begin with, you know?
Like, if he weren't already doing a terrible job facilitating any of this plan, Navir probably could have been on board if he hadn't fucked up to this point.
Yeah, but no. But he successfully has driven her away, and to be honest, I don't blame her at all. Like, she's no longer his wife, so fuck off. I do think
I love the political games of we're getting divorced. Okay, it's like I love political games of giving the other side what they want and showing how little they actually want it.
Yeah. It also doesn't super help that, like, obviously it's not really helpful that Rashta has started to kind of try to work her own political machinations, because she's not well versed in the court, and she doesn't understand the nobles or the way that, like, all of this is going to work. And she seems to have, like, fundamentally misunderstood Sovieshu as a person, right? Because, and let me be entirely fucking honest here. If I was poor, right? If I was, like, essentially in a situation where I was enslaved, and some very hot, wealthy man came to me and said, hey, I'll make a deal with you. If you carry my baby, I will then just give you a bunch of money and free you and let you go off and do whatever you want, right? That seems like a win-win to me, to be quite honest. But that's not what Sovieshu did. He said, hey, I love you, be my wife, while plotting behind her back as well. Like,
not a good plan.
It's not, the brain is not braining. The thoughts are not thoughting. And then, I mean, and to be fair, Rashta does deserve some blame because she is being actively antagonistic, right? Towards Navir.
Yeah.
Like, and I understand why she's doing it. She's doing it because she views this as a way to cement her own position and to remove Navir, who is still technically more beloved by the people and, like, sort of more of a fan,
Stupidity does not excuse damage.
Yeah, like, genuine maliciousness, because she, like, Rashta is being malicious in a lot of her actions. Like, there's a reason why she destroyed the Duchess, right? Because she was like, I want to be the center of high society. And there's a reason why she keeps pursuing, like, having to put people in dungeons and all that sort of stuff. It's not good, you know? And, like, granted, sure, Duke Ergi is, like, whispering in her ear, but he's not whispering that loud. she should be able to tune him out. She's choosing not to because he's giving her attention in a way that Sovietshu isn't. And maybe if she'd been prepared for the fact that Sovietshu never intended to really give her attention other than performatively, she wouldn't be searching out another person to do this when she doesn't know their motives, not truly.
I said this, like, this series is really good that none of the characters' motivations feel cartoonishly evil. Like, I can see where most of these characters are coming from. They're just making bad decisions.
Yeah. I mean, I do think if any of them are being like, I mean, I think there are a few characters who do become cartoonish villains, but maybe they're not there yet. And there's certainly not any of our main trio at the moment.
Yeah.
Actually, 4 now because Heinrich is back. Heinrich has returned. He will take her as his wife. Good for Navier. Get you a man who will actually fucking fight for you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that to me seems like the best of all.
I love that they have to flee the country.
That was so funny. The fact that, like, she genuinely has to flee the country and meet up with him in secret to get away, stunning.
Like, you think your ex is bad.
Yeah. But they arrive in the Western Kingdom, right? And she's greeted as the queen, which means they're going to be getting married, etc. Isn't it beautiful? Now, in theory, you'd think this would be where the story ends, but no.
Why do I feel like international conflict is on the horizon?
As someone who's currently 110 chapters further, yes. And keep in mind, remember, so this is 85 chapters, right, of the webtoon in 6 books, right? Mm-hmm. We're already at chapter 190. Right? That's more than double where we are currently. So this series is, at the moment, in terms of printed volumes, minimum 12 volumes.
I'd love to see the perspective of a peasant looking at these two nations about to go to war and be like, man, those nobles suck.
Yeah. Because I will say, all of the stuff that's happened, like,
this is all rich people problems.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Now that I know kind of like how many chapters are going per volume, right? Because I can essentially see that it's about like 14 to 15. Mm-hmm. I might have you continue reading on Webtoon because this is not a 1 chapter per day series. This is one where you can just read up to the current chapter. So I might have you just like read in batches of like 30 episodes because that would be the equivalent of like 2 books. And we should be able to get caught up actually quite fast if we were to do that.
We'll see what we have space for in the schedule. Because like if we don't get this back in the schedule before another book comes out anyways.
Yeah, but I definitely, I don't want to wait necessarily for volumes 7 and 8 to come out. Because that's going to be a long time. Because the only reason that we have done the first 6 volumes in like a year is because the volumes, a bunch of them came out and then like I was sitting on volumes 5 and 6 for like 2 months before I gave them to you. So the volumes have slowed down in their release into paper. So you'll definitely be reading on Webtoon from now on, like point blank period. Like we'll just have to be. Even if it's just for like half a submission, because I'm not going to go back to 1 book at a time in this series. To be honest, it's much more efficient to do 2 at a time. But essentially, I think what we've done, let me check, I think we might have just reached the end of season 1, basically. Or close to, because we're currently in season 4. So episode 85, which is what we ended on. Okay, so episode 85 is the end of season 1. So that is the entire first season of this webtoon that we have just finished.
I could see that. We end on a pretty major point.
Well, I mean, you start with the divorce and you end with the actual divorce, because you start with the kind of like, oh, this is happening, and then it flips back.
Finally, we finished the prologue.
Yeah. Also, the next couple seasons are shorter because the artist and writer had some health issues that caused them to take like longer breaks and more time. So, like for example, season 2 runs from episode 86 to 86 to 122. So it's less than 40 episodes for the second season in total, you know? And then season 3 went from 123 to 178. So that one's a little bit longer, but it's still 50. So both of the ensuing seasons are much shorter. than this first season. And a lot of that is because of the health problems that the artist and author had. Because I remember seeing the notifications that they would be taking a longer break for their health and coming back with a shorter season. Yeah. So, in theory, we might actually just do the entirety of season 2 as like one submission, because it's actually about equivalent to like two and a half books.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, and that because I know that the seasons actually have decent cutoff points. That gives us a good sort of next thing. It's not going to be immediate. You won't see it in the next month or two, but you might see it after that, as something that like we're both enjoying. I think we're still enjoying this.
Yeah,
at this
I like
point.
the series.
Yeah, I think if anything else, ending here makes me curious to see where we're going to go, because like, is Sovietshu going to try to get her back in a year? Like, is he going to go to war to get her back in a year? Like, what is going to happen?
I presume so. Sovietshu is not shown to be the most reasonable person.
Yeah, brain not braining up there. That one's not incredibly bright. And like what's like her and Heinrich gonna be like, right? Well, we know now that she's essentially infertile. So she can't give Heinrich any heirs. So what's he gonna do?
Look, maybe Heinrich can work some bird magic.
Oh my god, the poor bird that Rashta tried to have killed in Volume 5. Oh my god. See, that's genuine maliciousness. Like, she saw that Navier was getting attention that she wasn't getting, and then she tried to correct that. That's one of those things where I'm like, she doesn't need to do that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the fact that Navier is getting attention from someone who isn't Sovietshu should be a good thing for Rashta, right? Because she's like, oh, they're growing apart, they'll divorce, and then I can sweep in, right? But she's not seeing it that way. She's like, I want everyone's attention on me. Here's what I want.
Let's see. I want to see how much Rashta crashes and burns trying to be queen. Because they hinted at that, but now it was like, it'll only be for a couple, like, for the duration of the pregnancy.
Because Navier was like, we need to make sure that she, like, I want to make sure that she has someone who will guide her well. Like, I want to make sure that she's left with, like, you know, stuff that she can do that will make her look good. Because Navier, even though, like, she's been essentially shit on by Sovietshu and Rashta, she's still not thinking of being, like, really...
She hasn't done anything petty to get at Rashta.
No, she's actively tried to make... And I think it's not even because she cares for Rashta, but I think it's because she still cares for Sovietshu, sort of, in, like, this, like, childhood friend sort of way, where she's like, I don't want... And she cares for the kingdom, so she's like, I don't want the kingdom to be in trouble because of this decision, so let me, like, do a bunch of administrative work, try to get all the orders, like, everything in order, so that Rashta really just has to continue what I've already started, right? Like, just continue these things. The people will look at you positively because you're still being, because I'm a generous queen and you're doing what I did, so you're a generous queen, etc. Like, it's really not...
But, like, let's see how Rashta does on her own.
I'm so excited. As I've said a few times, I'm at episode 190, so I know what Rashta does, and I know what Sovietshu does, and I know what Heinrich and Navier do. So I'm very excited to kind of continue. It is an ongoing series, so obviously, like, we don't appear to be anywhere near done where I am currently at episode 190. So I mean, make of that what you will. I'm going to be honest, without giving any spoilers, right? But in reference to the fact that I'm around episode 190, I don't know what the intended ending of this series is anymore. I have no concept of what the author is going for as an endgame at this point. The story is still good. It's still engaging. I'm loving what's happening, right?
Was this one of those series that was originally a web novel and this is the webtoon adaptation?
Yeah, original story by Alpha Tart, adapted by T.H.E.
So in theory, the web novel might be done?
Let me check, because the web novel is also available, I think, on Tappytoon. I could be wrong, but I think it's Tappytoon. And I don't know if that's done either. Alright, let me check. Ooh. Let's see. Alright. Oof. Well. So the web novel is marked as ongoing at the moment. It says that we're at chapter 471 as the last translated chapter. I would wonder, though, I don't know if it's ongoing in that the translation is ongoing or ongoing in that the original story is ongoing. Okay, so it appears that the original story is still ongoing in the novel, right? So the novel is not ended either. So that's interesting. And the novel is obviously much further because this started back in 2018 and it's now been running for a while. When I read Solo Leveling, I did go ahead and read the novel to find the ending when the webtoon wasn't caught up with it. I don't think I'm going to do that here. I think I'm just going to continue to read the webtoon as it comes out. I'm enjoying it in that way, and I'm not reading it week to week because it is coming out like an episode a week or something. That's not how I'm reading it. I'm reading it in batches of like 6 chapters at a time. So
That's
like,
fair.
Once a month I'll check the app, read any chapters available, and then go, So I don't think I'm going to spoil myself for the ending on this. I've done that too many times in these series. I think I'm just going to let it percolate, see how it develops. I don't know what the author's endgame is. Maybe once we get through season 2, perhaps you will have some speculation towards that, because my not being able to figure it out might just be because I'm not as in tune with like story structures as you are. Because I tend to kind of just enjoy what I'm reading and go, haha, that was fun.
I mean, at the end of the day, this isn't the author could have no planned ending because this is a very serialized story at the end of the day.
True.
So you can linger on some things longer than you normally would in writing and change direction on a dime.
True. Very true.
Now, the story done, I think done, yeah. Then who knows? But it is serialized, and that does change things a fair bit.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of my opinion on it. So that was the Remarried Empress 5 and 6. I like these 2 volumes, but I will say I'm glad that we're done with this divorce plotline because it did go for a very long time. Like, this was a very long season. It was 85 episodes. Like, that is a long season. And it did feel like it took a very long time for us to get to the end of the season. You know what I mean?
Girl, and get remarried for 80 chapters, 5 volumes.
I mean, yeah. Up until almost, it was in volume 6 that she got remarried. So, understandably, it has taken a long time to get to this point. I personally think that the story actually moves weirdly fast after this, but maybe that's just because I don't really know how much time has passed.
These early chapters felt like
day to day almost,
which was good. I kind of like that pacing of like you're really feeling the minute shifts in the politics here,
which was, I think, in some ways necessary because Soveshu, Rashta, and Navier were living in the same place day to day. They are no longer doing that, and the pacing of the story reflects that. We are not going to be watching day to day drama because they're not all living in the same place having day to day drama.
Well, if a letter is sent and it takes like 4 or 5 weeks to arrive from one place to the other.
Yeah.
You can't like have that sit for like 60 chapters waiting for it to actually arrive to the other side and then send it right back. You do have to play with time a little bit more.
So the pace will be shifting coming up. But with that being said, I don't know what's coming up next. I never know what's coming up next. Neither does Knick Knack. And you guys will see when it comes out on the channel.
Actually, I might have been reading these mostly in order.
Well, you might know. I don't. So, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know if you're reading along. Don't spoil it if you're ahead of me in the novel. But feel free to discuss stuff up to chapter, whatever we are in the webtoon, because Knick Knack doesn't really read those comments, and I do. So maybe just mark it spoilers, and then I'll read it, and he won't. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next time.